Some of the greatest moments in history begin quietly, not with armies marching, not with trumpets sounding, but with a single person deciding to do the right thing, even when it could cost them everything. The story you're about to hear is one of those moments. It is the story of a young woman, an orphan, a refugee living in a foreign empire, a woman who never planned to be a hero, a woman who found herself standing between life and destruction for an entire people. Her name was Esther, and her story reminds us of something powerful. Sometimes God works the most when he seems the most hidden. The story begins in the vast Persian Empire, one of the largest empires the world had ever seen. Its ruler was King Ahasuerus, often known historically as Xerxes. His kingdom stretched across 127 provinces, from India to Ethiopia. Cities flourished, armies were massive, wealth flowed like rivers. But the king loved something more than power. He loved celebration. One day he threw a banquet that lasted 180 days. Imagine that. 6 months of feasting, drinking, and showing off the glory of his kingdom. Gold goblets filled with wine, marble columns shining in sunlight, royal guests laughing, drinking, boasting. But in the middle of the celebration, the king made a foolish decision. He ordered his queen, Vashti, to appear before the guest to display her beauty. But Vashti refused. We don't know exactly why, perhaps dignity, perhaps wisdom. But her refusal embarrassed the king in front of the entire court. The advisors panicked. They feared that if women across the empire heard about this, they too might begin refusing their husbands. So they convinced the king to make a dramatic decision. Queen Vashti was removed from her throne forever, and suddenly, the most powerful kingdom in the world had no queen. The king's advisors came up with a plan. They would gather the most beautiful young women from across the empire and bring them to the royal palace. Each woman would undergo months of preparation, perfumes, oils, beauty treatments, until finally they would appear before the king. Whoever pleased him most would become the new queen. Among the women taken to the palace was a young Jewish girl named Esther. Esther had not grown up in luxury. She was an orphan. Her parents had died long ago. She was raised by her cousin Mordecai, a faithful Jewish man living in the Persian capital city of Susa. Mordecai loved her like a daughter. He taught her faith. He taught her courage. He taught her humility. But when Esther was taken to the palace, Mordecai gave her one important instruction. Do not reveal that you are Jewish, because Jews were a minority, and prejudice could be dangerous. So Esther entered the palace quietly, hidden, unknown. Yet something about her stood out, not just beauty, but grace. When her time finally came to appear before the king, she did not demand extravagant things. She simply trusted, and the king was captivated. Out of all the women in the empire, Esther was chosen. The orphan girl became queen of Persia, but her true identity remained hidden. Meanwhile, Mordecai continued to sit at the king's gate. One day, he overheard 2 palace guards plotting to assassinate the king. Quietly, Mordecai reported the conspiracy through Esther. The plot was stopped. The king's life was saved. And Mordecai's act of loyalty was recorded in the royal chronicles, though at the time he received no reward. But history had taken note, and God had not forgotten. Soon another man rose to power in the kingdom. His name was Haman. Haman was ambitious, proud, and deeply hungry for recognition. The king elevated him above all the other officials. Soon everyone in the palace bowed down whenever Haman passed by, everyone except Mordecai. Mordecai refused to bow, not out of arrogance, but because his faith would not allow him to treat a man like a god. This enraged Haman, but instead of simply punishing Mordecai, Haman wanted something much darker. When he discovered that Mordecai was Jewish, he decided to destroy all the Jews in the empire, every man, every woman, every child. Haman went to the king with a carefully crafted lie. He told the king that there was a group of people scattered throughout the empire who followed different laws and did not obey the king. They are dangerous, he said. It would be better to eliminate them. The king, not realizing the full truth, agreed. He gave Haman his signet ring, the symbol of royal authority, and a decree was written on a specific day. The people of the empire were allowed to kill the Jews and take their possessions. The law was sent to all 127 provinces. Suddenly, an entire nation faced extinction. When Mordecai heard the decree, he tore his clothes and covered himself in sackcloth and ashes. Throughout the Jewish communities, people wept, fasted, and mourned. Fear spread like wildfire. The city of Susa itself became confused and troubled. But inside the palace, Queen Esther had not yet heard the full story. When she learned of Mordecai's grief, she sent messengers to ask what had happened. Mordecai sent her a copy of the decree, and he delivered a message that would change everything. Do not think that because you are in the king's palace you will escape when all other Jews are killed. If you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise from somewhere else. But you and your family will perish. And then Mordecai spoke the words that echo through history. Who knows if you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther faced a terrifying reality. Approaching the king without being invited could mean death. Persian law was clear. If someone entered the king's presence uninvited and the king did not extend his golden scepter, they would be executed immediately. And Esther had not been called to see the king for 30 days. If she spoke up, she might die. If she stayed silent, her people would die. For a moment, imagine the pressure she felt. A young woman, an orphan, a secret identity, standing between life and destruction. But Esther did something powerful. She called for 3 days of fasting and prayer. No food, no drink. Across the Jewish community, people cried out to God. And at the end of those 3 days, Esther spoke words that have inspired courage for centuries. I will go to the king, even though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. Esther dressed in her royal robes. Her heart must have been pounding. Every step toward the throne room could have been her last. She entered the court. The king looked up. Everyone waited. Silence filled the room. Then the king extended the golden scepter. Esther lived. He welcomed her warmly. What is your request? He asked. Even up to half my kingdom. But Esther did something unexpected. Instead of revealing everything immediately, she invited the king and Haman to a banquet. Then she invited them to another banquet the next day. Meanwhile, Haman went home delighted. But as he passed to the gate and saw Mordecai still refusing to bow, his anger returned. He built a gallows 75 feet high, planning to hang Mordecai the next morning. But that night, something extraordinary happened. The king could not sleep, so he ordered the royal chronicles to be read to him. And what story did they read? The story of Mordecai saving the king's life. the king realized something shocking. Mordecai had never been rewarded. At that exact moment, Haman entered the court, planning to ask permission to hang Mordecai. Before he could speak, the king asked him, "What should be done for the man the king delights to honor?" Haman assumed the king was talking about him, so he described an extravagant honor: royal robes, a royal horse, a public parade. Then the king said something Haman never expected. "Excellent. Do exactly that." For Mordecai, imagine Haman's humiliation. The man he hated most, he now had to parade through the streets in honor. Finally, at the second banquet, Esther revealed the truth. She told the king about the decree to destroy her people, and then she revealed something shocking. "I and my people have been sold to destruction." The king was stunned. Who would dare do such a thing? Esther pointed to Haman, this wicked man. The king's anger exploded, and in a dramatic twist of justice, Haman was executed on the very gallows he had built for Mordecai. Though the original decree could not be reversed, the king issued a new one allowing the Jews to defend themselves. And when the day came, they were victorious. What was meant for destruction became deliverance. The Jewish people celebrated with joy, feasting, and giving gifts. And they established a festival called Purim, remembering how God turned sorrow into celebration. The story of Esther carries a message for our generation. God's name is never mentioned in the book, yet His hand is everywhere. He was guiding the timing, guiding the decisions, guiding the courage. And sometimes in our lives, God may feel hidden. But hidden does not mean absent. Just like Esther, you may have been placed exactly where you are for such a time as this. Esther risked her life to save her people. But centuries later, another Savior came, Jesus Christ. He did not risk His life. He gave it. On the cross, He stood between humanity and destruction, because sin carries a sentence. But Jesus took that sentence upon Himself. 3 days later, He rose again, and through Him, anyone can receive forgiveness and eternal life. If you're listening right now and you feel something stirring in your heart, that is not coincidence. That is God calling you. You can give your life to Christ today. Simply speak to Him, "Jesus, I believe You died for me. Forgive my sins. Come into my life. Be my Savior and my Lord." And just like in Esther's story, God can turn your story from fear into victory.